Welcome. I have to apologize for the Weather Bureau. As you probably know, this was supposed to have been on the bridge. Initially, we ordered the sun, and it got here a little late. So you'll have to use your imagination. As my mom told me when I was little, that it's the thought that counts. So we had the thought. We're also going to have to close the windows so the press can take pictures of our distinguished guests. I'm Bob Davis. I'm president of the Waco Downtown Development Corporation and want to welcome you today to the dedication of the Texas Main Street program for the city of Waco. With today's dedication, Waco will take its place as an official 2014 Texas Main Street city, a distinction which honors Waco's rich history, beautiful architecture, and a downtown that is rapidly transforming into the jewel of the city and the region. Honored guest, Mrs. Perry, and fellow citizens, Waco was recently designated by the Historical Commission, the state agency for historic preservation, to participate in the Main Street program and is joining 86 other cities across the state who are working to revitalize downtowns through a combination of entrepreneurial policies, innovative projects, and historic preservation. Please stand, as you're all already standing. We had to do a little improvising as we were running late, and that's the reason that everything seems to be a little bit out of order. We added the special song there at the front to fill the time, so that's the reason your program is a little off. Now I'd like to call on Dr. Jimmy D. Hunter, the pastor of the Tolliver Baptist Church, to give the invocation. And we ask that you remain standing for the presentation of the flags, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Texas Pledge. We thank the junior ROTC from University High and students from Indian Spring Middle School for their roles in our program today.
Let us pray. Gracious God, as we gather in this place at this time, we thank you for the recognition by the Texas Historical Commission's designation of Waco as a Main Street City Program city. It is our hope, O God, that the vision of revitalization of our historic downtown area continues, that through your abundant blessing, business developments, local entrepreneurs, and other community enterprises will continue to find their place as part of this vibrant area of our city. We pray that what we anticipate for future growth will soon manifest in the present for the economic development of our city. We are joyous now for what is happening for us this day, but the sky that yields your glorious sun allows the shadow of darkness over many families who are in a state of grief and despair over loved ones unaccounted for on Malaysian Flight 370. Please embrace them with your divine mercy and grace as they continue to face this dark unknown. Continue to guide all our government officials on all levels working for the betterment of all. I pray this day through Jesus, our divine liberator, your Holy Spirit, our guide, the power and the glory be unto you, O God, now and forevermore. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Very well done. What talent. It's always refreshing to see the youth of today perform as they just did, especially since I could never sing. They frown on me singing in Rotary even. In addition to Ms. Perry, we are honored to have several special guests on our platform today. Please hold your applause until the end as I recognize these individuals. On my right, Senator Brian Birdwell, our State Representative Doc Anderson, members of the Texas Historical Commission, Matthew Kreisel III, he's the chairman on the commission, August W. Harris, these are all commissioners, August W. Harris, Judy Richardson, Bob K. Shepard, Nancy Steves, and Mark Wolf from the staff, Executive Director, other staff members, Brad Patterson, Director, Community Heritage Development Division, Deborah Drescher, State Coordinator for the Texas Main Street Program. From the Independent Bankers Association, also on the right, Chris Williston, the President and CEO of IBAT, Maybeth Pallone, Vice President, Political Action and Leadership Division, and a liaison for IBAT, Christopher L. Williston, Vice President, Communications, and Waco Mayor Malcolm Duncan, Jr., City Manager, newly appointed, but not new to Waco, Dale Fissler, Waco Downtown Development Corporation Executive Director Megan Henderson, and Public Improvement District Chairman Brian Ginsberg. Also, not on the stage but in the audience, members of the Waco City Council. If you would please stand and be recognized. And you may already be standing, but be recognized anyway. Hold your hand up. The McLennan County Commissioners Court, Main Street Advisory Board members, Waco Public Improvement District Board members, and I think that covers though. Thank you all of the people that I have just recognized for making today possible. At this time, I would like to introduce two people to you who will be making remarks on behalf of the Independent Bankers Association of Texas and the Texas Historical Commission. The first is Chris Williston, CEO of IBAT, which is the Independent Bankers. Chris.
Thank you, Bob. What a pleasure it is to be with you all. Good afternoon. This is our 20th year to sponsor this Texas Main Street tour on behalf of the Texas Historical Commission, and what a pleasure it has been for us each and every year. I think we've now covered 81 cities in those 21 years, and we've had the great pleasure of traveling with First Lady Anita Perry to 49 of those cities. And we're just what a treat it has been, and something that we continue to enjoy. And it's very easy for us. I represent Texas Main Street bankers, not the Wall Street guys. And we are all about communities. We not only live here and work here, but most importantly, we invest in our local communities. And that's what it's all about, and that's why this program is so important for us to continue, and something that we are so proud to be a part of. Thank you so much. Congratulations to the city of Waco, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Chris. Absolutely, this wouldn't be possible without the Independent Bankers Association, who sponsor this event all across Texas. At this time, I would like to introduce from the Texas Historical Commission, Matthew F. Kreisel III, the chairman. Matthew.
Mayor Duncan, thank you, Mayor Duncan and council members, Chairman Davis, board members, and Megan Henderson, Executive Director of the Waco Downtown Development Corporation, which will operate the new Main Street program. I'd also like to thank Senator Birdwell and Representative Doc Anderson, as well as my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Judy Richardson and Commissioner August Harris, for joining us here today. It's a great event, and we're glad to be here. I'm honored to be here today representing the Texas Historical Commission, where we continue to strive to help communities across the state showcase their real places and their real stories about Texas. This is our brand at the Texas Historical Commission, and we firmly believe in it. If you haven't already discovered them, you will find other programs that the Texas Historical Commission may also be valued to your community, such as the nationally known Heritage Trails program, our Historical Markers program, and our 20 historic sites. You already know about our Texas Business Awards program because of several local businesses, including Johnson Roofing, which was started in 1941, and the Waco Citizen, which began in 1946, have been recognized for their longevity with this award. Waco has many of those places that make a community real and authentic, including the National Register Downtown Historic Commercial District, and many properties listed on the state, local, and national registries, such as the Hippodrome, the courthouse, and the historic suspension bridge, where we were to hold this event earlier today. Unfortunately, the weather did not permit at the time. And by the way, the designer of that bridge did go on and design the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. For these reasons and many others, we're excited to have Waco as part of our Main Street program. I would also like to thank Mrs. Perry for her dedication to the important historical and cultural places of Texas. Since 2009, Mrs. Perry has been the honorary chair of the First Lady's Texas Treasures Award, which recognizes communities and demonstrates ingenuity in recognizing their authentic Texas sense of place. 7 of those 9 communities that have been awarded this recognition have been part of the Main Street Network. Plus, over the past dozen years, Mrs. Perry has visited every new Main Street community that has come into the network, and there have been close to 50 of them. We have such great appreciation for her dedication to the cause of historic preservation, and thank you. Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to invite Chris Williston to join me for the presentation of a plaque. I think that Deborah has that. Mrs. Perry, since this is your last Main Street visit, after many years of service, Chris Williston and I would like to present you with this small token of our appreciation from both of our organizations. It's a framed montage of pictures from the past years and visits to Main Street cities that you hope you will treasure in the future as you move on to
Thank you.
greater heights. Thank you, Mrs. Perry, and thank you, Waco, and welcome to Main Street.
Thank you again, Matt and Chris, and the First Lady, because without these two organizations and the First Lady, the Main Street program just wouldn't be here. I mean, they're really the wheels and the driver of the Main Street program. So thanks to you guys, and thanks for being here today for what is a significant event for our city as we move forward with the revitalization of the downtown. At this time, I would like to introduce the Honorable Mayor Malcolm Duncan, Jr.
Thank you, Bob. It's a real honor to be able to introduce our special guest today. We are so excited to have this designation. I've already been approached by two groups that have projects they'd like to get some help on. The Main Street program allows for design experts, architectural assistants. It's just going to be a tremendous blessing on our downtown revitalization. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for this designation. Anita Perry is a native from Haskell. Ms. Perry has a passion for the authenticity of Texas and travels the state promoting tourism, a $56 billion industry in our state. She supports international trade by leading economic development missions throughout the world. 14 years ago, she and Governor Perry created the annual Texas Conference for Women, which brings together more than 5,000 women from across the state. She earned a bachelor's degree in nursing from West Texas State University, now West Texas A&M, and a master's from the University of Texas Health Center in San Antonio. Please welcome the First Lady of Texas, Anita Perry.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for that nice welcome. And thank you, Mayor, for that introduction. It's great to be here with you in Waco. And thank you for the weather, because we did start out in a lot of wind and some mist, and early this morning in Sealy, and you're our last stop. You're my last city, Main Street, forever and ever for me. But we're going to get through this. And y'all are great. And I am so proud of you, Waco, for making this step, because it will always pay off for you in the future. I want to thank my friends, Senator Birdwell and Representative Anderson, for being here. We've spent a lot of years together. We've had some fun. We've had some challenging times, but they are great. They're terrific representatives for you in Austin, and I want to just say, let's give them another hand. I'd also like to thank everyone at the Waco City Council for supporting the Main Street program. I want to thank the hard-working members of the Downtown Development Corporation. And most of all, I want to thank everyone at the Texas Historical Commission for everything that you do to keep our hometown heritage alive. Thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank again the Main Street program sponsor, the Independent Bankers Association of Texas. Chris, thank you so much, because we are here today because they sponsored this trip, they pay for it, and you didn't have to contribute one of your taxpayer dollars to do so. So thank you very much. I've said earlier, you know, who better else than the sponsor of this tour, because who better else knows your town better than your banker? Lastly, and every bit as important, I want to thank you. Thank you, Waco, for coming out today. Rita Clements was First Lady when Texas began its Main Street program in 1981, and she once said, "We have truly seen miracles on Main Street, as our small communities have rediscovered a sense of pride in the heart of their city." And since then, Texas has seen dozens and dozens of those miracles from one side of the state to the other, from the top to the bottom and to all in between. And I've had such an honor to be a part of them. And while we celebrate and honor you in Waco today for your accomplishments and commitment to Main Street, like I said, it's a little bit of a walk down memory lane for me. So if you'll let me share a few of the best moments that we've had on Main Street. Because the trips have really been a joy for me over the years. I've loved going to every city, every town, the memories I've collected, the extra calories I've added from the cookies. Every stop along the way, there was something that was touching. Whether it was the school children that lined the streets as you would go into some of the towns waving their Texas flags. And I'd say, "What is the best thing about Main Street?" And they'd say, "Getting out of school, Mrs. Perry." And the book signings for the local libraries. And we were in San Angelo, and I saw Holland Jewelry, where Rick finally bought my wedding rings 16 years after we had our first date. And when my parents drove down our dachshund puppy from Haskell to Comanche on a windy day. And those were touching, touching moments. And then we had those really special moments, like, what are you going to do with your hair on a bad hair day? Well, in Texas, nobody really knows what to do. So one day I walked out of the ladies' room at the airport, and I did a little final touch-up for the hair, not unlike what I just did. Didn't do so good, so I asked if anyone had any hairspray. The lady said, "No, we don't have any." But a gentleman in the crowd pulled out his. So thank him. Not going to mention his name over the microphone or in front of the media, and it was not my husband. One of my very favorite welcome signs was in front of a Piggly Wiggly once, back in 2003. And the sign read, "Welcome, First Lady Anita Perry. Shoulder roast, 49 cents a pound." Now, you know you've truly made it a First Lady in the First Lady world when you get top billing over a pretty good cut of meat. A couple of years ago, we were in Sinton's down there in Corpus Christi, and as I was driving in, I noticed a marquee on my left on a shop, and it said, "Welcome, Mrs. Perry. Elvis is back 5:30 to 8:30. And that was fine, but Elvis never showed. And I will never forget the huge dust and windstorm in Spur, Texas. Everybody knows where Spur is, don't you? Everybody? Okay. Well, Spur is up there kind of in between Lubbock and the little hometown where I grew up in Haskell, and there's not a lot to hold anything there except tumbleweeds and the mesquite trees. And for days I was picking dust and little bitty rocks out of my hair after several washings. 2003 was a big old year for Main Street because at Winnsboro that year, we had the event at a historic train depot platform. Now, just because it says it's historic train depot platform, that does not mean that the trains don't run on time. And we happened to schedule Main Street when the train was going to come by. And it was from here to me to maybe Representative Anderson. So I stopped because I couldn't compete with the train. Those were great times that we saw before the scenes. I know there were some behind the scenes events that had to take place also. Like once we were in South Texas and they wanted to make sure the flower beds looked particularly nice that day, so they put down a fresh layer of wood chips and fertilizer. Now, it looked really fantastic, but when you were up on the stage, it was a little bit overwhelming with the smell, but it was a good time. It was all good. Every memory of Main Street is good. And it's good because every street in Main Street is unique. Each has its own style, each has its own way of life. And when you say, what do they have in common? I got asked just this a minute ago in Caldwell, well, what do these streets have in common? I mean, what can you say about Main Street cities? What can I say? That's easy. It's the people. It's you. It's the people of Waco, the people of Caldwell, the people of Sealy. It's you that makes Main Street. Because you see that there's value in their past. There's value in preservation. There's value in passing a city's history to the next generations. These people look at a block of town like over on Elm Avenue here in Waco, and they see more than bricks and mortar. They see a rich history in that location where something once was and where something will be again. Like the Waco Suspension Bridge is an important symbol of both your past and your future. Brooklyn's got nothing on us. Opening the bridge in 1870 helped Waco fully take advantage of its place on the Chisholm Trail. And that story is told with the beautiful branding the Brazos sculptures in the park at the bridge. And today, the bridge symbolizes how the new Main Street effort hopes to bring the historic commercial area spanning both sides of the Brazos River together to achieve full economic opportunity goals for the whole community. It never fails to amaze me the energy that Waco has, that Sealy has, that Caldwell has, the people that are involved with Main Street. And it's not easy to get in Main Street. That's why there are less than 100 across the state that are a Main Street city. That makes Waco special. Waco has more than its share of dedicated citizens, and I want to thank you for that. Winston Churchill once famously said, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it." Well, we're currently writing our own histories like here in Waco. The city and the towns of history, living history that are in Texas are going to be recorded by the people who live there, who work there, who carry in their hearts, wherever they go, their hometown. And what our hometowns are, what are they? They are links to the past and the doorway to the future. After today, I will have been honored to have visited 49 cities and towns as part of this program. I've traveled over 9,000 miles since 2001. Every city and town in Texas is special. And you may say, well, what have you learned? What have you learned here in your swan song? What have I learned about Texas? Other than it's the greatest state in the nation, Texas is family. That was my experience growing up in my little hometown of Haskell. Even when I go back now, I slide right back into those girls that we used to go get a Coke, or we'd make the drag, or we go to cheerleading practice. Because we know each other, we appreciate each other, we depend on each other, and that is what is essential about community, no matter where you live. But what we know about Texas and what sets it apart from everything else is the Texas way of life. We may come from different places, we may face different challenges, and we may not always agree, but we are a family, and we come together in a difficult time, and we celebrate in the good times. We share values. We have a common sense of purpose. Our sense of family was born in our towns, in our cities. You know, sometimes when you think about small towns and big towns, really sometimes those small towns are just all bunched up together and make one big town. It's still a sense of community. It's vital. It is what makes Texas special, and it's important that we all work together to keep that spirit alive. That's what Main Street is. That's keeping your city and your spirit and your downtown and your revitalization and your past, and you're linking it with the future. It's like that bridge out there. That's why I have been so proud to be a part of Main Street over the past decade, and I will always cherish these memories. So congratulations to all the citizens of Waco on your commitment to Main Street. You made it. I understand why you made it, because you had the tremendous response to fill out that application and get a committee and get a director, and you won. You won, and I know you Baylor people know a little bit thing about winning. And whether you're a Baylor Bear or not, it is great to live in a city where you win. And you just won again. So I'm going to ask Mark Wolf if he will please unveil the drawing, the artist rendering of the Main Street project. It is the row of buildings on Elm Avenue. It is a beautiful and rich history of buildings and what they represent. Congratulations, Waco. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.
What an honor to have the First Lady of Texas save the best for last and honor us by having her last visit today. Let's give her another round of applause. We now have a special presentation that will be made by students from the West Avenue Elementary School, and they have chosen to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Perry. Welcome to Waco. My name is Isaiah Oliver, and I'm joined by my classmate, Andrew Herrera. We are proud students at West Avenue Elementary.
Every day, teachers at Waco ISD work with 15,000 children like us, teaching us to be learners today and leaders tomorrow. To help us remember the importance of education, we have a book for Ms. Perry to sign.
Mrs. Perry is signing William Cameron Park, A Centennial History, 1910 through 2010, A Long Love Affair of Nature's Splendor. The authors are Erica Myers and Mark E. Furman. This book is dedicated to our local library to be enjoyed by the entire community. Thank you, Mrs. Perry. We are honored to have you in Waco on this special day.
That one's terrific. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Great job. Thank you.
I don't know why they were placed close to the end of the program. If they'd been first, I'd have just turned it over to them. Next, we have a presentation to be made by Doreen Ravenscroft. Doreen?
Mrs. Perry, on behalf of the City of Waco and Cultural Arts of Waco, I'm very honored to present you with the Doris Miller Medal. Doris Miller is a Waco boy who, in 1941, was on the West Virginia and was the first African American to be awarded the Navy Cross. There's an extra one. We hope that Rick will put it in the Texas legislature.
Very
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. What an honor. Next, I would like to introduce the individual that really is where the rubber meets the road for the Downtown Development Corporation, and that's our Executive Director, Megan Henderson, and Megan will deliver our closing remarks. Thank you.
Mrs. Perry, Waco feels very blessed to be the capstone of your Main Street City visits. In honor of your service to Main Street, downtown revitalization, and Texas's great heritage, we'd like to offer you a token of our gratitude, and we'll need some help from our amazing intern, Maria Brockman, architect of this ceremony today, and our project manager, Drew Vincent, both of whom are amazing, because it takes a lot of folks to carry 49 yellow roses. If we can just set them at the edge of the stage. And thank you. Thank each of you, all of our guests, for helping the Waco Downtown Development Corporation celebrate this honor and milestone. Please be our guests for a few more minutes and savor not only the beginning of this great program and its promise for Waco, but also the brand new signature cookie of the Waco Main Street program. Appropriately, it's an adaptive reuse. A cookie designed by our own East Waco jewel, Lula Jane's Bakery, in honor of Annis Reed and Main Street Cake. After the reception, please join another important moment, Rappaport Academy's hefting of the tools at the Gomez Administration Building on the Paul Quinn campus. This project exemplifies the Main Street program by breathing new life into a great building, adding new triumphs to follow the old. Before I close and get out of the way between you and your cookies, I do have to say a great thanks to the folks that helped put this together. Gail Edwards and the committee who worked on this. You are fabulous, and thank you so much. Thank you.